Hey guys, welcome back to the Rad Hyrox podcast. We have Australia's Hyrox Power Couple with us today. This morning, it's 7 a.m. It's pretty early, but we've got up to chat to them because we couldn't miss this one. They run JK Hybrid Coaching. If you don't know James, then you obviously weren't watching the Cologne last chance qualifiers because he put down a storming time, the second fastest Hyrox time ever, with 54 minutes and 3 seconds. Mental. And Georgie, she smashed her first solo Hyrox at the same time. So, living in Scotland, how's Glasgow, guys?
Well, thanks for the intro. We actually haven't been called the Australian power couple yet, but I like it. Do you like
I
it?
like it. We'll run with it. We might
Okay.
even start calling ourselves that.
Yeah.
Self-proclaimed.
No,
I think it's
like
very
it.
fitting.
Yeah. So thank you. But yeah, no, we're obviously in Glasgow and we've been here for 2 months, almost 3. We're actually really enjoying it. I don't know if you can see if it's a video podcast, but we've got some sun shining, which is very rare. But apart from that, we are enjoying Glasgow. Yeah.
So, first question for you then is how have you ended up in Glasgow, and how we know that you were in Germany before, and what brings you this side of the world, away from Australia's sunshine?
Yeah, we get that question a lot, actually. Everyone on this side of the world wonders why we've left sunny Australia. But it's more just the experience. James and I both had wanted to move overseas at some point in our lives individually. And then when we met, obviously we realized it was a common goal. And with the trajectory of like James's career, I guess his business plus being an athlete, it just made sense to, and it worked well for me as well. So we started off in Germany, did a 6-month stint there. And that was great while we were there, but we're definitely ready for a change. And considering we didn't speak any German, we were definitely ready to sort of branch out to somewhere in the UK. And we decided on Glasgow purely just because we had some friends here, and we were ready to, find, make some more friends, I guess, in an English speaking country. So it was going to be somewhere in the UK, and we just landed on Glasgow, which we're very thrilled about.
Oh, amazing. Yeah, well, I mean, we obviously love Scotland and, we're fully supportive of that. And a German speaking country like makes it a little bit harder, I guess. Is that where you found out about Hyrox then, when you were in Germany, or?
No, I started like Hyrox about 18 months ago. So I did a couple before moving over. But it was a good living in Germany, we're living in a place about 2 hours out of Berlin. It was very remote, but also very convenient to actually travel from Germany to the UK or Germany to Vienna, where we had to go for one of the races and stuff. So it was very convenient to be here or in Germany as opposed to Australia.
Oh, that's amazing. And did you so you guys, obviously your backgrounds, did you guys meet like doing sport and then decide to come over, or how did this all start?
Yes.
Do you want to take the meeting question, or do you want me?
Is that an awkward question?
Well, we met in September of 2022. Oh, well, no, sorry. We started dating in September of 2022. And long story short, October 2022 was James's first race in Birmingham. So we had been dating for about a month before James flew over to Birmingham to compete in his first race, which he ended up winning, which was insane because over in Australia, back then as well, nobody had heard of Hyrox, including myself. So, and James is a very humble being as well, and really played down the whole one going over for Hyrox, but 2 like winning the whole thing. And if you can imagine now, like winning a pro division race on debut is like pretty cool, but he just it wasn't a big thing. He played that down well. So, yeah, and then I think James continued to do maybe 4 or 5 more races since we were living in Australia. So he was traveling to and from, which was pretty crazy. And then, yeah, that's when we decided to sort of move over for multiple reasons, but it worked well. So he wasn't having to travel the whole 24 hours every time he wanted to go to a race.
God, you're a good girl, aren't you? You committed. You went full in.
Yeah, absolutely. I loved it. I was probably more keen than James was.
Georgie was able to join me once for one of the trips, but most of the time, like, we'd be talking about, oh, maybe I should go over and do this race or do that one, and her response was just like, yeah, go, like, because in her eyes, I think it was more about like taking the risk of kind of putting myself out there to this world, and I had to do that at that time to get to where I am or where we are right now. So I couldn't have done it without her support.
That's amazing. I think what's so nice about it is like people get together and they say that if you're with someone, they should bring you up, and that obviously is what you guys do. You like bring each other up and you support each other so well. And I mean, we met you guys at Cassell's gym doing that, the Rocks Queens thing, and we could tell that straight away. Which is why it's so nice to have both of you on the podcast, because it is a team thing. I think a lot of the time, somebody that's competing at a really high level, there's also people with them that support them to get there or keep everything going. And you guys seem like such a team. I'm guessing with the coaching business as well, you work together with that.
Yeah.
Primarily, James started the coaching business, obviously. Back in Australia, I was working in a corporate job 9 till 5. So I, have slowly moved since moving over here. I've started working with James and, doing little things for him here and there. But originally, I was sort of had my own career path, and then I just ditched that, which no regrets there at all. And I'm, slowly moving into this sort of industry, and I'm, absolutely loving it. But it is really cool to sort of work on something together that we're like both equally as passionate about, and building like our own little community that we've got with the coaching business, and actually like we care for each and every one of them. So it's really cool to have that like passion together, to build something together.
Yeah, awesome. And then so I saw like yesterday you were doing lactate testing as well on the treadmill. That's a joint thing, is it? I saw you were like administering it, Georgie, and you were doing the hard work.
I'll tell you a quick story. Like when it comes to very kind of serious workouts, naturally, like I take them seriously, right? Like yesterday, I just felt terrible afterwards because like the whole lactate threshold testing is very time. It's all about like making sure that you're getting your blood in a timely manner. Let's just put it that way. So here I am doing like 5-minute interval runs on the treadmill, immediately hopping off. Georgie's there ready to rumble, but I'm just so like serious about trying to get back on the treadmill for the next one. And it's a very heated kind of moment or what, 45 minutes. And it was I wouldn't say a test. It didn't test our relationship, but I feel like I was very in the zone, let's just say. But on that though, I wouldn't. It's just an example of the support that I have as a elite athlete. I wouldn't be able to do testing like that when I need to without her support. Like she pretty much put her day on hold for an hour and a half to make sure that all this kind of testing was set up and ready to go, whilst I just like sweated out on this treadmill. And it was good fun. It was good fun in the end.
Yeah.
wasn't it?
We're here. We live to
I
tell
was
it.
gonna say,
So.
yeah, you're still sitting next to each other and you came on the podcast, so I feel like that's a good sign.
Yeah, if you got a cancellation, you would have known it went bad.
Is that going to be on the next YouTube?
That's right,
Behind the
yeah.
scenes of lactate testing.
Yeah.
So it's not
Yeah.
something you'd recommend for athletes to do with their partners. Maybe go to a lab or something, or find a
Yeah.
coach.
Yeah, to really test the relationship out.
Yeah. But no, my way of doing it for him, he's just got to do it for me on Friday now, though.
Yeah.
I said, you
Oh,
have to do it
okay.
for me now.
Yeah. Georgie's
Payback.
up on Friday now.
Brilliant.
I love that. And well, now whilst we're on the kind of testing, I know you mentioned before you'd also done the sweat test. So you're obviously quite into like your numbers. Is that how you like to train and focus on your performance? Are you like quite a nitty-gritty, get into all the details sort of a person?
Yeah, it's an interesting question because prior to Hyrox, I'd been training and doing functional fitness and a lot of running for years and years. And I guess like the best thing to kind of say is that I've been my own best experiment for 10 years, let's just put it that way. And I've never been one to really dial in on numbers and data. I've always been I think it's a bit of an old school approach where it's all about training and racing and working out on your feel and how your body is feeling compared to trying to hit data points or measurements as such. I think that kind of like resonates from as a youngster. I was a cross country runner. That was probably one of my main sports, and my coach back in high school was very emotionally intelligent and was more about getting the boys or getting us prepared mentally and feelings wise, if that makes sense. So that's where I got brought up, and lo and behold, I stumbled across Hyrox, and here we are now, knowing that that's not necessarily the best way or the wrong way though to train for it. And over time, I've learned that there are specific measurements, there are specific data points that if you do want to be at the elite level, you're silly not to really dive into it or dial into it. And it's one of those things, like we did do a sweat test. Georgie bought for my 30th birthday, Georgie bought me the best birthday present ever, at home sweat test. It was the honestly, guys, no one has bought me a better present. Anyway, so yeah, it's just one of those things I've been able to like work out, right? Like what that gives you is exactly how much and what I'm actually sweating, which means that I've been able to dial in my hydration like I've never done before. And then obviously the threshold testing the other day. There's obviously a couple more, but I've changed my approach to training and coaching, especially over the last year, because you do need to be a bit more data driven than what I was beforehand.
I think it's all about, like, just to finish that off, for James and a lot of people in this industry, in this sport especially, it's all about needing to like evolve and learn and be open to understanding other ways, because like James said, there's no right or wrong way. As you know, there's so many online coaches out there who has a different method for things. Doesn't mean any of them are wrong, but it doesn't mean any of them are right either. So James like came into this sport with what he had known from, you know, previous sports, and that wasn't wrong. But as he's evolved with the sport, and especially at an elite level, that's where he's had to sort of change his mindset around certain things, and he's now slowly moving into the more data driven like training or approach to things. And you know, it's like he's gotten so far training a certain way, but now he's at a point where he is like, okay, I'm in the top however many % of the sport. I need to start looking at the more like the 1%ers, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just things to help you learn more about yourself as well, to find that extra little bit that you can push that bit further. You touched there on mindset. And I mean, obviously both of you are very driven and have a very strong mindset. I feel I have to bring up Cologne because it was such an incredible race, and for both of you really. James, how was your mindset going into that? Because I imagine there was quite a lot of pressure knowing that it was a last chance qualifier event for you, and to get that spot, it was a win. It wasn't just a podium, it was a win. How did you kind of manage that pressure, and how was your mindset going into it?
Yeah, I think almost 2 weeks since Cologne now, right? Like looking back at it, I was probably the most nervous I've ever been for a race, and anxious, but also like the most dialed in that I've ever been, due to the fact that I had a 6-week preparation with Georgie, and also my coach Anthony Pericini, who just absolutely like gave me the confidence to do what I did that day, by the programming and the coaching. So like it's funny because you look at the day and the race and whatnot, but like Georgie and I and Anthony are the only ones that know like what actually went through the 5-6 weeks prior to that. And I always say to my athletes, right, like as a coach, and as a Hyrox athlete, at the end of the day, the most important thing about everything that we're doing is getting to the start line, getting under that tunnel, and knowing that you've done the work, and knowing that you're out there as confident, and you should be running as confident as ever before because you've done the work. And my mentality for the day was as confident that I've ever been because of the process that I've been on. And look, like I'm so relieved and also so excited for what's to come now, from what happened 2 weeks ago. It's I could keep going about it because I'm the first to say that I wouldn't have done what I did if it wasn't for Anthony, my coach, number one, as I just said, but also this girl right next to me as well, because she was on the same journey as I was to lead into Cologne, supporting me, but also for her first solo race as well.
We could see
Georgie.
oh sorry, I was just going to say we could see the emotion when you crossed the finish line, like how much it meant to you, and like straight away like you guys looking for each other. It was really cool to see. You could see how much work you put into it and what it meant to just get that spot when you realized you'd done it, you know.
We laugh about it now just because of like how much he was crying, but it was honestly such a special moment. And when you actually watch back, like you said, like that just shows how much it did mean to him. And that was pure just like so much hard work went into that. Like it wasn't taken for granted sort of thing, you know. And yeah, like I don't know, maybe I'm biased, but he deserved that 100%, like seeing how much work was put in from Washington to Cologne, like it was insane. So I guess all the emotions just came out on the finish line. And but yeah, it was a funny looking crier, wasn't it?
I look like Voldemort, don't I?
Yeah.
And how did you, Georgie, one, feel watching? Like, I mean, God, that must have been nerve-wracking. And two, then lining up for your first solo race, how did you channel everything for that?
Yeah, well, I think my priority to begin with was just James's race. Like before, my race was at 6 p.m. So it was almost like the perfect distraction. I wasn't waiting around all day, just sitting there twiddling my thumbs. So I honestly didn't even really think about my race. I was like, they'll come after. I just really want to focus on James's. I was probably more nervous than him, to be honest. But you know, like going into the day, I obviously knew like how much work he'd put in, and I knew that he could do it. We knew he could run a 54 or 55. It was more just like whether he could execute. And the way James was carrying himself was on that morning was so different to any other race. Like honestly, he was so dialed in. I could like see it in his eyes, like how much he wanted this. And even in the warm-up area, like he was just, you know, not being rude, but when people would come up and talk to him, he was just like, no, I'm here to warm up. It was a very different approach to the race because I think of how important it was to him. Spectating was just like, oh, like so nerve-wracking. I knew what his like strategy was, right? So it was like funny, like without going too much into detail about the race. I'm sure everyone's heard it a million times, but like, you know, it was a do or die, like you had to win the race. So every man went out hot. James's strategy obviously was to run his own race. And as he did, he arrived on like the ski erg, like 4th or 5th or something. And then they all left before him. So I think people were probably watching him thinking like, oh, you know, he's not in with a shot. But I just like knew, I was like, no, like this is his strategy. He's going to go for it. And then I just like saw a difference in his like running and how he was holding himself from his previous races. And I just knew that he felt really good. I just could see the way he was carrying himself. And I think I just like got a lot of confidence from that. And anyway, yeah, like once he was sort of like taking the lead, I was just like, this is so exciting. And the main thing, all I could think was like, thank God we don't need to go back to America.
Yeah.
No offense to the Americans.
The long haul flight, you don't need to do. Yeah.
That was like, we were dreading that.
I was so relieved.
But yeah, like it was very intense to watch.
And then we had about I finished and we had about maybe 3 hours before Georgie's race, and we ended up going back to the hotel. But I think because, as we all know, and all the listeners would probably know, if you've been to a Hyrox, like you're full of adrenaline, you're pumped, you're pumped up. Like it's such an exciting environment to be in. And then we decided to step away from that for a few hours so we could calm ourselves, but we were back in the hotel room not being able to do that. We were just like pumped. And then we had to go back for Georgie's race, and then which she absolutely killed. And from my end, I actually loved, like I loved the whole day more so after my race, because I was relieved that I did well. And then afterwards I was just like on top of the world, watching and supporting her. I had one beer just before her race, and I was definitely tipsy or something, because I was so excited and watching her. And
you'll see it in our
YouTube,
YouTube video that we're about to put out of my race, and James's commentary is like yelling all over the place. It was probably partly the excitement, and then he had one beer, and we haven't drank in so long. So
love it.
We were watching your Instagram, because we were you were walking around doing that. It was good. It was so good. It was just a really nice day to watch you like both compete. It was really nice to see the whole thing in one day.
It was nice. Like it you know, like I've said this before, it's really nice having a partner that's equally as supportive, right? Like James is this elite athlete that could be taking all the spotlight. Not that I want the spotlight on me, but he just did the second fastest time in Hyrox, but he was then able to turn around and you know, forget about that and actually just focus on me, who's just running an open race. Like, to, you know, I'm just the everyday athlete, but to him, it was just as important, which is like really nice to have that support back. So yeah,
absolutely. It's teamwork, isn't it? And that's what brings you bring the best out in each other. And it's like incredible to have that support around you.
Yeah.
Okay, for our listeners then, I wanted to ask what 3 top tips you have for Hyrox are, either for someone who's competed before or a newbie to the sport. Do you have 3 things that maybe you guys follow yourself for training or preparation or in the race?
Yeah, I've got
probably a million tips. But
we'll
go with 3.
I think for the viewers or the listeners, the most important thing to understand, no matter what your background is, the most important thing about training for Hyrox is the consistency. And that word, and that is different for everyone. That's the most important thing to understand. Like, my consistency is different to Georgie's, is different to yours. But for Hyrox specifically, you need to understand that we all know who has done a Hyrox, that it won't lie to you. Like, if you haven't done some training or the training that you need to do what you want to do on that day, it'll spit you out at the end, if that makes sense. And I'm not trying to be harsh there, but you need to make sure that you are consistent to what you want to achieve. For me, being in the Elite 15 now, like, I need to be consistent at putting in the 15 to 20 hours of training a week. Now, that's not what everyone should be kind of regarding as consistent. Your consistency should be maybe training 3 or 4 times a week and making sure you are doing 2 runs a week and 2 Hyrox sessions a week. And that's your consistency. But you need to make sure that you need to understand where your goal lies, or what your goal is, and then work back from there and try to understand what your consistency is. There's no point having a really good week of training to then go and not have and the next week not be good. It's all consistency, right? That's the first one. Do you want to? I could keep going, Georgie, but
you keep going. You're on a roll.
I think the second one, and very specific, this one here, is sleep.
Oh, like that.
Yeah, I think we underestimate these days the power of sleep for recovery, due to the fact that there's so much else out there that you can do for recovery, right? There's ice baths and saunas that are great. There's the compression boots that you can put on to alleviate lactic acid buildup. There's massage and scraping and all this stuff that's really good. But I tell my athletes, and we try to be as dialed into our sleep as much as possible. If you're not getting 8 hours of sleep a night, none of that other recovery tools or protocols matter. Like, you're wasting your time and you're wasting your money on all those protocols. So my next tip is 8 hours of sleep a night.
I think
we all know, if we've trained for a Hyrox and you're doing it correctly and being consistent with your training, it does beat yourself up, not necessarily just physically, but mentally as well. So you do need to make sure that you are prioritizing the recovery as much, if not more, than the actual training itself.
Yeah, absolutely.
So 8 hours of sleep a night. Yeah.
Go on, finish us off, Georgie.
I've got one, but
there's so many. I'm like, you're on a roll. I was gonna say, obviously, like, we could delve into the actual training behind it and the need to run and the style and whatever, but there's so many different ways. I think nutrition as well is a massive one, especially with everyone's nutrition plan looks different, right? Mine's not going to look the same as James's or yours, but you really have to trial and error what works for you. Hyrox training can be very demanding on your body, and especially with the running component as well, requiring so much energy to sort of perform to a high level as well. And if you really want to get the most out of your training, and I think the main thing with these tips that we've sort of just gone through, it's all like a domino effect. Like if you're not eating well, you're not going to sleep well, you're not going to train well, and it's just all sort of like, it goes hand in hand. But I think the need to find your consistency with the nutrition is super important. And once again, that word consistency comes into it. Like James and I, for example, the last 6 weeks have been incredibly consistent with our nutrition leading up to Cologne. And, you know, we allow ourselves to branch out and more mentally, so like more than anything, allow ourselves to eat what we want. But let's just say Monday to Friday, we're like so dialed into, we prep our food, we make sure we're eating whole foods and fresh foods. And I just think that people really do underestimate the importance of that and the consistency of that as well, to then lead into our training day and then get the most out of our training day.
I think
I think
like
that's
really
we've found that is a super important thing.
I think it's like it's a really good point, because I think like you said, so many people, maybe they've seen you do that lactate testing, and they're going to go and, you know, go out, buy a lactate test, go to their nearest gym and jump on a treadmill. But if they haven't got their nutrition right, if they're not sleeping properly, if they're not consistent, then
What's
three
the
like
point?
fundamentals.
Point.
Yeah, exactly. So it's really cool to hear you highlight that, especially when you're at the top of the sport and you're doing all the extra little bits to get that 1%. But it's important to know that you have the foundations nailed. And
Correct.
for anyone that's starting, foundations before you start to do the extra little 1% is the big thing where you can make the gains. Hey, if you
and I think
practice.
That word, the foundations, right, is so key, because I think that's what the elites do the best. It's actually the foundational work, foundational consistency with recovery, training, nutrition, that just sets yourself up. It's not actually the threshold test that you go and do. It's not the sauna and ice baths that we do, or, you know what I mean? It's the actual foundational work that really, really matters.
Yeah, that you guys have probably, or any elite athlete, have made a habit anyway. So it almost becomes, you don't think about it because it is your lifestyle. Yeah. Like you said, you guys live that, like you've created that lifestyle.
Yeah.
So how does it, sorry, go on.
We're probably living, like, for us, it's not boring, but we're living a very
simple life.
It's
not for everyone, but we love it. So
you've gone all in on your goals though, haven't you? You've gone all in. You're like, if you want something, that's what you have to do, isn't it? And you've committed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, hats off to you guys. So what does it look like now then? Like, what does your day, what does your week look like working towards Nice? So what does the next, I don't know, is it 6-8 weeks or
6.5? Yeah,
6 weeks. What does that look like heading towards Nice then?
It's interesting because, like, obviously what happened in Cologne and the process of leading up to that worked. So not much changes in terms of training and like the process of my programming. Let's just put it that way. What does it look like? Well, you're going to hate me saying this, but Georgie is actually racing at Worlds as well. So she qualified.
Yeah, so Georgie. How did we not know
racing,
about that?
Yeah. We're
Get
both
on that
racing
treadmill, start lactate testing, girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
She's in the 16 to 24 category, ready to rumble.
Little baby category.
Fair play, guys.
Which,
Awesome.
like, just on that, it was so exciting because she did very well in her race in Cologne. We had no idea about the age group qualifications, and then that night we kind of worked out that, oh my God, like we think that you've qualified, which, to be honest, makes it the next 6.5 weeks even more, like, I don't know, meaningful and like fun and exciting for both of us, because we're both training for the exact same thing right now.
So cool.
So yeah, and yeah, sorry, like, you know, we're just going to be ticking the box each day, and what that means is making sure that our training's ticked off and working hard and trying to make sure that we're doing what we can in the gym, but also, like, as we just spoke about, outside the gym and making sure that we're just dialed into our recovery is the most important thing leading into, like, a world champs, right? You know, my process is a little bit different to Georgie's and vice versa, because I've probably got, I don't know, like a little bit more volume, let's just say, and a little bit more training than you, but we're both on the same path, which is exciting, right? So yeah, so nothing really changes. We decided we were going to go down to the London Hyrox event, which would have been amazing to go to, but we've only got 6.5 weeks in Glasgow left until we go home, actually. So we've just decided to bunk down here, and we'll have a few trips on the weekends to some of the areas around Glasgow and stuff. But apart from that, we're just being consistent.
Yeah, absolutely. Putting the hard work in. Oh no, that's ace. I'm so chuffed for you both that you both be competing there. Yeah, really good. Okay, Faye, do you have anything else before I go on to the cheeky insights?
No, jump in. I mean, I could chat to these guys all day, but yeah, let's do it. You've got training to get on with, haven't you?
Yeah.
It's just, we can't hold them back. They're on the timeline. I'd feel really bad. I'd be like, shit, we kept them on the podcast too long, and they've got these. Come on, let's get it done.
Okay, we'll go for the cheeky insights then. So you can both answer. I mean, I think Georgie might know the answers more because James doesn't even know what shoes he wears usually. So
yeah, that's true.
What shoes do you wear to race Hyrox, both of you?
Puma something.
Come on, Georgie.
Gosh.
What are they?
Puma Nitros, maybe?
Puma Nitro Deviates.
There you go.
There you go.
Do you both wear them?
And you race in Puma.
I race in Puma Velocity 3s.
Velocities, yeah.
Oh,
honestly, the shoes are such a funny chat. To be fair, they're like, I don't know if there's like a right answer to that. They're just Puma shoes and we both like them. So
just go with it.
Yeah, just go. Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, what's your favorite Hyrox venue?
Venue.
Oh, I've stumped you there, Cologne.
I don't even remember the venues.
We spoke about this last night. It's just like I think most people's answers would be the ones that they do a PB in. Right?
Yeah.
True.
The Hong Kong race that I did in April last year was really cool. It was just like such a big venue, like massive. So the run course was really cool, but I'd probably go to Hong Kong, the Hong Kong exhibition ground.
And yours has got to be Cologne, Georgie, surely.
Yeah, let's go with Cologne.
Yeah.
Okay, what's your favorite Hyrox station?
You go first.
Favorite Hyrox station for me would probably be the lunges.
The lunges?
Oh.
Yeah.
They're popular.
Head down. Yeah,
And
head down, lunge it out.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to guess James's, he's going to say running.
No, that's not a station. That's not
It
allowed.
is a
station, apparently.
It is the most important station, and it is my favorite by far.
Okay, what's your second favorite
station?
My second favorite station would probably be the sled pull.
Oh.
Yeah.
How did the
sled
sleds
pull.
feel at Cologne? With the new kit? Did it?
To be honest, like for me personally, I don't think they differ a lot at all. The rope of the sled pull is just slightly like smaller in terms of like grip
Diameter.
wise. So but to be honest, it didn't change much. It just felt like the normal sleds, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah, I
Did the
think
ki- Go on.
no, I was going to say as well, you probably with your in your mindset try and not think like it's going to be too different, because otherwise if you think like, oh, the sleds might be heavier, then they're going to feel heavier, aren't they? Like kind of, I guess, try and remove it from your brain.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you tell yourself, if you say, oh my God, it's new equipment, I wonder what the sleds are going to feel like. Well, 9 times out of 10, they're going to, when you jump into the sled push, you're going to feel as if they're heavier. So just, it's not a thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Totally.
Like James always says, and it's so true, like they're meant to be heavy. They're gonna feel heavy. It's never gonna be easy.
Yeah.
So like you just accept that and just get the job done.
Be a pointless station if it was easy, wouldn't it? Everyone would just be
Yeah.
Well,
throwing it
correct.
off.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, if you could do a doubles Hyrox with anyone in the world, who would it be?
Ooh.
Apart from Georgie.
Have you guys done one together? You've done one, have you?
Yeah, we
We've
have
done one together. Yeah.
Is there another one on the cards or?
Potentially.
Potentially, yeah. If we find the right moment, like that, we loved it together. It's just a matter of
getting it right in the race calendar type.
yeah, correct. Yeah. Anyone in the world.
Can be famous. It can be anyone.
Oh, I'll be like,
Yeah, you're gonna go down like a nerdy.
no.
running-
Mine, I would love to do one with Lauren
Oh yeah.
Lauren Weeks.
Oh, fair.
Fair.
I'll just put it out there. I'd love to do one with Lauren.
That would be cool to watch. I think that
Would
would
you?
be.
I've got like this is probably a you
You're
won't
gonna
like
go
this.
really weird, are you?
No, I was gonna say I've got in my head Chris Hemsworth. I'm gonna manifest.
Oh,
Imagine that.
We've had him for one, haven't
I
we?
wonder, yeah. The
Someone else,
centipede.
yeah.
Say that again.
I think someone else chose him, didn't they?
I think it might have been Zara. I think maybe
Oh,
Zara.
Oh,
Actually,
Zara.
Yeah,
Maybe.
Bit of a
someone-
fight. The
Oh,
girls are
that's
going to
so
fight
funny.
him.
I mean, he's not a bad looking guy, is he? So.
Well,
That's not why you chose him.
No,
No?
that's not why I chose him.
No, you chose him because he's part of the kit, like to find
Yeah.
out more about the kit, or
and he's Australian, and
yeah, fair.
yeah.
Yeah, good
Oh, there we
choices,
go.
guys. We'll
Yeah, I
move on.
like
We'll
it.
move on
Chris
swiftly.
Hemsworth, yeah. You wonder how he'd run though, hey?
He'd be able to like throw the sleds across to the
Yeah.
other side. Thor.
yeah, I know. I think if you're right at the strength stuff, I don't know about.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe not the running.
Oh god. Okay, next one. Before we have a domestic. Do you fuel for Hyrox during the race? And if so, what do you use?
Fuel, yeah. I normally take a gel, which is literally just carb, like a carb gel. That's pretty much it. I don't have any water or any liquid. Yeah, and I normally take this gel like about halfway, about at the burpees or just before the burpees, maybe. Yeah.
Okay,
But
yeah.
just quickly on that, like that doesn't mean everyone should be taking a gel at halfway. Or that doesn't mean like everyone shouldn't have water or liquid. It's just making sure that you train and trial having something during your training so it doesn't upset your stomach, and you got to consistently train doing that so that you come race day it's just a natural habit then, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely.
Did you take a gel as well, Georgie?
No,
Or did you-
I personally didn't, and there's no reason behind that. I just didn't think about it, to be honest. I think I did in my doubles with Bryony, I did in Vienna. She actually gave me a few like gummy bears or something, and I actually didn't like how that like sat in my stomach, like James was saying, and that could have just been on the day. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. So I think just going into Cologne, I was like, I didn't even think about it, and I didn't feel that I needed it. So but I don't know, maybe next race I might feel like I do. So it just worked out on the day, I guess, that I didn't need it.
Yeah, absolutely. Trial and error, and everyone's different.
Yeah.
aren't they,
Yeah.
like you said. Okay, next one is, what's your favorite training training session for Hyrox? It can be a format or a style. Do you have?
Mine would be my running intervals. Like,
That's what I was gonna say.
I just get so dialed into just my intervals on the treadmill. I just love them so much, eh?
Mm.
And do
Really.
you
Yeah.
Oh, we're gonna ask
You're
the
gonna
same
say same
question.
thing. Go on.
Yeah.
Go on.
Do you always do your intervals on the treadmill, or do you ever do them on a track or outside? Or
For me personally, I always do my intervals on the treadmill. For me, again, like, in my opinion, it's not right, but nor wrong. It's just with the treadmill, you can just dial in the pace that you want to run at, and there's no other variables. You either do it or you don't.
yeah,
Right. So that's how I view interval running. But if you ask me about all my other runs that I do, well, I run at least twice a week outside. I run on the assault runner at least once a week. So intervals, though, is always on the treadmill.
And I think it's good to get a variety of both as well, like outside and on the treadmill, to get your body familiar with the different impacts and everything.
Definitely.
But I also believe I do my intervals on the treadmill, and that would probably be my favorite session as well. I feel like it's really satisfying. Like, it's probably one of the hardest sessions, but it's satisfying finishing that. And especially when you start your day with that, you just feel so amazing after that you've accomplished it.
Yeah.
yeah, totally. Such a high.
You win that mental battle as well, don't you, sometimes? Because sometimes you're like, oh my God, at the beginning. But then when you get to the end, you're like, oh, I felt like that at the beginning and I got over it. And so, like you said, to start your day with such a big win, not just physically, but also mentally.
Mentally, yeah.
100%. You know you're going to have a good day after that.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
Okay, next one. In a nutshell, why should someone sign up for their first Hyrox?
Sure.
Here you go.
Why should someone sign up for their first Hyrox? Because of the feeling of accomplishment afterwards. No matter who you are and what your background is, right? You won't understand what a Hyrox race and the vibe and the environment that they create on race day is all about once you've crossed that finish line. And as we all know, like, a lot of people are absolutely in awe and so addicted to that. And to be honest, like, I'm saying that word addicted in such a really good positive light here, because you know, it's amazing from I don't know whether it is from my end as an elite or anyone who has done a Hyrox, or whether it is a running race or any other competition. The feeling of accomplishment after completing and achieving something is just, you can't beat that. You can't, it's so natural as well. So why should you sign up for a Hyrox? Well, to test yourself and for the feeling afterwards. Yeah, it's going to be hard. Like, guarantee you'll have your tough days, your tough training, your tough workouts. You'll find it hard on race day, and you should, but it's all about the endorphins afterwards. And I guarantee there's not much else in life that you can get the same feeling from.
I think as well, it gives you something to train for as well. Like, if you just lock in a race, you're sort of like, you know, for 6 weeks time, you've got that purpose. Like, you're training with a purpose then. It was funny, like, I spoke to you girls in the event that we met at, and you're like, are you gonna race in Cologne? And I was like, oh, I don't know, but like, subconsciously I knew I was gonna race, and I think you girls even said that, but I hadn't signed up yet, but in the back of my head, I was like, I probably will. And then that was my sort of driving force with all my training. I was like, okay, I probably am going to race in Cologne. And I had a goal. It's rather than just sort of like training and maybe you're not going to train as hard for a certain session because you don't have anything to train for. So I think it does give people some purpose as well with their training and consistency and
Yeah.
and the
absolutely.
process.
Yeah, the fire in your belly to work towards it and keep you getting up each day and going to
Yeah.
sessions.
Yeah.
For sure. Okay, last one then is there anyone that you would love to see on our podcast or for us to speak to, or a type of person as such, maybe someone that's never done it before?
Chris Hemsworth.
I so want to get him on. Just like we're gonna.
That would be
great.
top tier. If you go from interviewing us to interviewing him, like that's
We'll be like, Georgie wanted you on.
Okay, well,
someone
use
out there,
that.
someone out there's got to put us in touch. So, isn't it
Yeah.
like 6 degrees or something? Like you're within 6.
Yeah.
Like somebody out there's got to do
From
it.
everyone.
Yeah.
Surely.
Okay, noted. We'll try our best for you there. Okay.
I've got, if this is like, I don't know, is it meant to be like a realistic answer or just like someone like could be anyone?
No, you go for it. We're open to anyone.
James and I love, I'm not sure if you like follow triathlon or Ironman or anything, but Lionel Sanders. Have you ever heard of him?
No.
You need to look him up and watch his YouTube.
Okay.
We love his videos, and he's just a very interesting character. Like,
is he Ironman or Olympic tri?
Ironman.
Triathlon, yeah. Lionel Sanders, yeah. Be interesting to see if he ever stepped foot into the Hyrox world, because I guarantee his mentality would just be ferocious on the course. Yeah.
Oh wow.
That's cool. I mean, there is a crossover, isn't there? There's quite a few triathletes.
Definitely.
That have come across. So.
Yeah, their running is just like insane. It's just if they could get, obviously each athlete's different, but if they could just get a bit of like strength behind them as well, like they would be incredible athletes.
Because their speed in a marathon at the end of an Ironman is ridiculous.
It's
so
unbelievable.
No, it's just unreal.
Yeah, but that's
cool.
my that can be your my aspiration for you to get Lionel Sanders on.
Sanders, yeah.
Okay, noted.
Yeah,
Thank
you. I need to go watch his YouTube now.
Yeah.
Definitely recommend.
So for you guys then, going forward, if anyone wanted to follow you, get in touch about coaching and things, like where does everyone find you?
On jk.hybridcoaching on Instagram. And then also on YouTube. I would love to have you guys have a look at our YouTube videos. Hybrid Hub on YouTube. Like and subscribe whilst you're there.
Yeah, we'll link both of them in the description, so
thank you.
People can head to them.
I mean, you need to find out what happened at the lactate testing session, so everyone's got to watch the YouTube now.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, we won't keep you any longer. We absolutely love this chat. We appreciate you guys coming on and giving us your time. We know how important your time is now running up to Nice for both of you. We wish you all the best. Hopefully we'll see you before. If not,
up early for us, we appreciate it.
Oh, that's all good. The jet lag's real, so it got us out of bed. It's all good.
I think you've done us a favor, to be honest.
Yeah, it got us back into the right time zone. Thank you to everybody for listening. Thanks, guys. If you want to follow these guys, please jump on and follow them on Instagram and check out their YouTube. Follow us on Instagram, radchicks. Share this episode if you enjoyed it. We would appreciate that. And if you want to leave us a Chica review, we wouldn't say no. But until next time. Cheers, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks.